Now, to help us make sense of these numbers, we're joined via Zoom by Jasper Ondap. He's an equity analyst at Reginald Capital. Hi, Jasper, and welcome to the show.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, Jasper, after a 4-day rally, which saw the PSE index up by about 4.7%, we're seeing a sharp sell-off. What are the main catalysts driving this, and what does the weakness of the peso, we're at a 2-year low, what does that have to do with the losses we've been seeing over the past 2 days?
Understood. So as you can see, coming from the 7,500 levels of going up the peak of the market for the year, and then we're bottoming out at 1,600 with a bloody correction of 1,000 basis points, and now we're coming from Friday until the 4-day of rally to about 4.7% increase, and now we're at barely at 6.8 levels, or 6.79 to us today. But that's just merely about the profit taking happened yesterday, and primarily attributed as well to the peso depreciating against the US dollar at 59, since that was, I believe that was since October of 2022. Well, that is, I guess, that's primarily also attributed that we have recording a balance of payment of a deficit with a balance of credit deficit as well. And this depreciating peso against the US dollar poses us a potential higher inflationary risk. As you know, again, we have a balanced trade of a deficit, and as we are very dependent on our importation for commodities, and some of it are now our agricultural products, this might really pose us inflation risk going forward. So that again, the Philippine peso depreciating really affects our economy in a negative way.
Correct. Speaking of the depreciation of the peso, this comes as the dollar continues to strengthen. The dollar is hovering at around a 1-year high, whereas the Philippine peso, on the other hand, we're at a 2-year low, driven by expectations of prolonged higher rates in the U.S. and inflationary pressures. How do you see this affecting monetary policy here in the Philippines? The BSP's monetary board is going to be meeting mid-December to set interest rates. Expectations are for a cut in interest rates of 25 basis points. BSP Governor Eli Remolona Jr. has said in the recent weeks that the BSP is on an easing cycle. But given the weakness that we're seeing in the peso as of late, do you think that they're going to be pausing on those rate cuts, or do you think that a 25 basis point cut is forthcoming?
Yeah, so again, what have BSP Governor Remolona have stated earlier this week, on Tuesday, I believe, that we are still in an easing phase, and considering that our inflation rate is at 2.3, is still at a target of 2 to 4% of the government, we do really have to consider what BSP Governor Remolona is thinking. If he wants to further boost the economy spending with lower interest rates, but he also have really to consider, or as he have stated and new statements, that the BSP really now is data dependent, and we're really looking at the next inflation print or inflation data that's coming up. And if so, that really happens, that BSP Governor Remolona continues rate cuts by this December meeting, then peso might really decline or depreciate against the US dollar going further. And again, that poses us a very huge risk or negative impact, not only in our economy as well as in our market as well.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the peso, again, forecasts are that the peso could weaken to 60.25 by the year end. Considering all the economic indicators and the geopolitical tensions, how realistic is this projection? And what are the key drivers that could affect the peso's direction in the next couple of months?
Yeah, so for the peso depreciation, we actually look at not only from the rate cuts coming from the BSP coming this December, what we also have to reconsider the U.S. economy strengthening going forward throughout this December with their inflation rate prints and job prints by December as well. And if so, that the BSP actually continues its rate cut by December, and then the U.S. economy prints a very strong economy by December, closing of the year, then that projection of 6.25 the peso is very much likely if that much to happen.
Okay, well, all right. Analysts also project various targets for the PSE index. Given the market's volatility, what levels are achievable, and what are the factors that could influence the PSEI between now and the end of the year?
Yeah, so for the PSA or the market at least, now we can see that again, bottoming up 6,500 and coming to 6,900s. Now we're at 6,800. Now high 6,700. We would expect that the market would really consolidate. As much as optimistic, I want to be optimistic about the market going forward. It is very much unlikely that it will go up the way it fell. And I guess primary catalyst going forward would really be the rate cuts coming from the BSP, and what would primarily affect, or what would be the outlier, or I guess should I say um, out of the bat or curveball that might happen if prices do increase is really coming from foreign investors. Just like what we have seen, I believe, in Tuesday with the higher than 2% increase for the market. So it really depends on the foreign investors what they see in the market if we could actually potentially go up,
Yeah.
going for.
Okay. In the meantime, Jasper, with equities and the peso seeing sharp movements, what's your advice for investors trying to navigate this volatile market? Should they seek defensive plays, or are there windows or pockets of opportunity? And if so, what are they?
Okay, so again, coming from this cycle that we're having, or the trend that we're actually going to persist, there are actually several sectors that we're actually looking for, which is primarily consumer and banking. Consumer, on the other hand, is actually performing really well, garnering double-digit growth in 9 months as of 9 months of 2024. And actually, this is backed by the supportive data that was just printed, because even though the GDP declined by 5.2%, we actually have garnered or recorded a higher household consumption expenditure of 5.1%, which is higher than the previous one of 4.6%. So going forward with this, with depending on the risk appetite of investors, they might actually forward with perhaps going towards REITs, for example, because they are primary beneficiaries when rate cut happens, because this would boost demand in the real estate sector.
Okay, that's all the time we have for now. Thank you, Jasper, for sharing your thoughts on the market with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
And that was Jasper Ondap, an equity analyst at Reginald Capital.